immigration law and the long-held understanding of the 14th Amendment. Over the next week, judges have scheduled 4 hearings in courtrooms across the country to consider blocking Trump's order on a preliminary basis. Bernie Bennett reporting.
Accompanied by city and state officials, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy has visited the site of a medical transport plane crash in Philadelphia. 6 people on the plane, 1 person on the ground were killed. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Making America smart again. It's the Krieger Files with Dave Krieger. Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. Listen to the Krieger Files and learn from your mistakes. It's the government's worst nightmare. Dave Krieger.
And we are here on this Tuesday edition, this February 4th. And of course, if you've been paying attention, you know that we've uploaded everything to YouTube and Rumble. We'll see how long it stays up on YouTube because they certainly don't like the truth getting out there. Moving on to what affects consumers. We'll talk about that first. The CFPB, your friend of mine, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, where everybody goes if they're being foreclosed on to complain. Well, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, openly gay Scott Bessent, is now the acting director of the CFPB after Rohit Chopra has been dismissed. And of course, the thing is that Bessent came in and went, all right, just stop, you guys. Stop this working. Just stop now. No more enforcement. No more litigation. We're going to look over your books and see what cooks. Yeah, see, that's Scott for you. You know, I got a real problem with this. You know why? Because this guy owns a hedge fund. Now, you see, I knew the 9th District, Alan Grayson of Florida, 9th District Congressman, he couldn't serve on a financial committee because he owns a hedge fund. Why is it that this guy gets nominated? Because he's part of deep state. That's why. Trump is dealing with the devil. You know, when you bring people on, now here's the blessing. It's out of committee now. RFK Jr. is going to go to a full floor vote with the Senate now to be confirmed as the new Secretary of Health and Human Services. Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard, you're still in the background awaiting confirmation. Of course, there's a lot of people out there now that are condemning Tulsi Gabbard, saying, nope, dealing with the devil again. You know, she's a, ally of Putin and all this other, see, it never stops. This is deep state trying to screw with Trump. And see, here's the thing about Trump. Again, I told you about the left versus the right. And it's like a seesaw. It's like a pendulum. You know, if you can't envision the continuum of a pendulum, then maybe you can envision a seesaw. So when the Democrats were in power, it was full tilt boogie to the left, right? So we went to extremes and did all these things that represent communism and socialism. Now all of a sudden, boom, we're the other way around, and we're doing everything that represents somewhat constitutionalism and corporatism. Anything that benefits the corporate structure of America. Because why? Corporate is something that is a statutory creature. That's why we had Mark Kwan on yesterday to talk about statutory creatures with pay zero taxes. So hopefully that you went to YouTube and checked out his website from yesterday's show. Moving right along with the CFPB, I mean, this means you cannot write to the CFPB and complain that the servicer and the banks and everybody else are messing with you. And if you've not had a chance to go to my Substack page, davekrieger.substack.com. We have why nobody's talking about the foreclosure crisis, why especially the media is covering it up. They don't want you to know how bad the economy is. They want to make it look so good. They spent all this time extolling how Biden left a great economy to the Trump administration, if you believe that. But now Elon is getting crazy with USAID. It's like one big case of gonorrhea over there. Seriously. I mean, you understand exactly what we're talking about. USAID. I think it's a scam on taxpayers here in America if you're buying into this stuff. First off, is this tax debt our debt, or is it the federal government's debt? It's not the national debt, it's the federal debt. This is what you have to look at. It's all a matter of semantics. They throw the national debt out there because it's leadership by example. And if it's a national debt, they can make the excuse that all you American U.S. citizens out there, U.S. corporate citizens out there owe the national debt. You each owe a share of it because we spend money like a drunken sailor in a strip club. I love using that acronym or that adage. That's an adage. I use it because of the fact that people need to understand that we have a runaway government. They do whatever they want. They don't care about you. They don't care about the horse you rode in on. They don't care about your monthly needs. They don't care how much tax money they bleed you for. But you got this one little convenient agency out there that buys friends. Actually, I don't even think it does that. The USAID is an independent government organization. Apparently it was set up by Congress. It provides life-saving foreign aid to other countries, according to the Jew boys over there at Morning Joe. Yep, Secretary of State Marco Rubio has stepped in as the agency's acting administrator, suggesting he'd work with Congress to overhaul the agency. But you see, this group, it's about 600 employees that are directly involved in D.C., but USAID has 10,000 employees on its roster and numerous international contractors. You want to talk about a waste of money? And I wonder, of all the $40 billion, which is less than 1% of the federal budget, notice I said federal, not national, less than 1% of the federal budget, $40 billion, and that USAID gets. And what do they do with that money? How do we know that that money didn't go to $50 million for condoms in Gaza? How do we know that? I mean, Caroline Leavitt, Trump's press secretary, went bonkers and exposed all this stuff. She goes, by the way, do you know that we funded $2.5 million in DEI payments to Serbia? $70,000 on an Irish DEI musical? $47,000 on transgender operas in Colombia, $32,000 on a trans comic book in Peru. What the hell are we spending our money on here? This is what I'm talking about. This agency needs to go away. I mean, they're on the right track. And what does Congress do? Congress turns around and starts getting freaky. Seriously, Brian Schatz, Democratic senator from Hawaii. He is a politician whose top priority is bending over and sticking his nose up other countries' rear ends. He should be immediately voted out of office when it's his time to go. He's a Democrat senator from Hawaii, but what do you expect? The libtards over there, Hawaii is the #1 welfare state in the union. You know, if you have a displaced dependent, just ship them over there. Buy them a one-way plane ticket like everybody else is doing and send them over to Hawaii. And you wonder, with the economy in Hawaii, the way it is right now and the prices of property and whatnot, believe it or not, there are about 30 radio stations in Hawaii right now up for sale. And they think they're all that, 400,000 to $1 million to 1.2 to 1.4. They're all, hey, Soros, why don't you buy all it fit right in your backyard. Why don't you buy all those radio stations over there? Since you got all this money and you want to feed the Democratic mindset. Soros, you're a commie pig. I'm saying that right here and now. But then you got Brian Schatz. He's another commie pig. He obviously is. I mean, here's the thing. Remember, we talked about the scale tipping. See, the Democrats are now up in the air freaking out because they can't get down. They're pinned up there on the seesaw while the extreme right is out there beating up on all this stuff, and they got Elon Musk as their front runner. So you got Brian Schatz pledging to stall every Trump cabinet nominee he can until USAID, which ships your hard-earned tax dollars to foreign lands that you can't find on a map, which makes me wonder, is Mr. Schatz putting some of that money in his own pocket? Is some of that money being funneled back to Congress and going in their little trust accounts? Is it paying for their booze-blowing hookers? Hey, we don't know that. Maybe a little kiddie porn, maybe a little child porn going on in the congressional offices we don't know about. You know, it makes you wonder about that Epstein list we've been told is going to come out. Haven't heard that yet, have you? You see, they make all these promises they can't keep. But you got USAID, it should be AIDS, USAID's, because it's nothing but a disease spending our money. It's what they do. And while they're sending all this money overseas, Starbucks is cutting 30% of its food and drink options from its menu. Oh, woke, woke, woke. Starbucks is introducing the new Blackberry Sage refreshers and bringing back 2 beloved Valentine's Day beverages for a limited time only. Hey, Scott Besson. Oh, shut up. Why don't you go over there, Scott? Why don't you go over there and suck down a couple of lattes? How'd you going? You got to love that. All right, on to the recall. Hey, I hate to get testy, but man, when I see our government throwing away money like this, and then they come at us and hit us for tax money, then that kind of piss you off just a little, North Carolina-based Blue Ridge Beef is recalling thousands of pounds of dog food. Why? Salmonella bacteria. Natural mix. Blue Ridge Beef natural mix product. Just came out. FDA, sold in 2-pound packages. Has a UPC code. I'm not even going to go there. Just look at the package. If you bought one of these natural mix from North Carolina-based Blue Ridge Beef, N25/12/31, these were sold in retail stores in Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, Tennessee, and Rhode Island. Just so you know. Salmonella, present. 5,700 pounds being recalled. Pets with salmonella, yep, you'll know. Loose stools, bloody stools, fever, vomiting, decreased appetite, abdominal pain. Oh, isn't that lovely? Yeah, Blue Ridge, yeah. Makes you trust them, huh? Not as bad as Boar's Head. God, you see what happens when you get a little thing, shut down a plant in Virginia? So much for corporatism, because what happens in corporatism is they just kind of blow away the safety standards in the name of bottom line profits. Oh, man. And see, this is one of the reasons why on this show we encourage people to start your own business. Become a consultant. Get out there and talk to people. I know a lot of people, they're leaving the real estate industry. They don't want any part of that because they think the real estate industry is tanking. And what that does is it allows other real estate agents and brokers who are more aggressive to double down and move on the market and get what business is out there. By the way, you want to talk about airline catastrophes. There was a Delta flight from New York to Florida, diverted to North Carolina. Oh, yeah. Diverted to RDU. That's Raleigh-Durham. Due to an odor in the cabin. Now, I wonder what odor that was. It's an odor in the cabin. It landed safely at RDU. It was on its way from JFK to MCO, which is Orlando, Disney World. Everybody wants to go down there. Where's Scott when you need him, huh? Scott Besson's going to go down there and dress up in one of those costumes so he can sashay around as Mickey. Wouldn't you think? Would that be something he would do? I don't know. I just don't trust the guy. He's a hedge fund manager and he's in charge of the Treasury. What does that tell you? He's overseeing Fannie Freddie that Trump wants to privatize. Not going to happen. Now they're making too much money stealing people's homes. Yeah, you go ahead and sue me. I get discovery, okay? I will come after you because I know what kind of game you're playing. Just give us a chance. I have a whole battery of about 1,100 attorneys that would like to come after you people. So what was this odor in the cabin anyway? Somebody eat beans for breakfast? How's that work? Now we talk about what's going on with your kids in public school. You wonder why homeschool is such a big thing now? Well, we've got some Trump advisors out there talking to Elon Musk. They want to shrink federal agencies, including the Department of Education. Isn't that wonderful? And here again, you've got all these people that are fighting the Trump administration, especially the American Federation of Teachers and the NEA. That's the National Education Association. They are fighting the Trump administration. And of course, I love it when they put in here, the White House didn't respond to a request for comment. Well, gee, I didn't know White Houses could talk. Did you? Gotta love the way they write this stuff. Yeah, they couldn't find any spokesperson in the White House to comment. It's what they should have put. But no, they got to put the White House refused to comment. Like the White House can talk. You see, stupid is as stupid does, and they call themselves journalists? Really? So the Trump campaign promised during the election that they were going to eliminate the Department of Education, which means they should be eliminating government-backed student loans. That means you got to work. If you're on a merit-based system, it means that you don't get to go just apply for a loan and try to make it through school and then give up and walk away and leave the government hanging. And see, if half of you folks out there knew that there were over 20,000 student loan trusts in America that have been set up, and these student loan trusts securitize your mortgage paper. So you never know which trust actually owns your student loan. But they got investors, not the government, but the investors, to buy in and buy certificates inside these 20,000 plus trusts that do nothing but student loans. They got them for car loans. Yeah, they got them for credit cards. For all those of you that like to pay month to month and pay either interest only or just pay the minimum payment every month for 30 years, they love people like that because once you establish a pattern, they put them into a security. They create a bond out of it. And see, look at all the debt that you're now responsible for because of all the bonds they created and securitized on Wall Street. And you got Scott Bessent, who is a hedge fund manager that relies on the securitization system to make money. He's already a billionaire, and you're making him richer by keeping him in office. And Trump voted him in. Why is that? Because they're all billionaires. It's a billionaires game in D.C. now, and we're all stuck in the middle. So they want to eliminate the Department of Education or at least scale it down. I got a message for the Trump administration. Would you get this bunch of pricks on the Democratic side of Congress that decide to give you grief? I got a great idea. Every one of these spending bills that comes at them, that they give you a hard time because, see, when it's tipped up in the air like this, what all the Democrats do? They unzip their fly. Yeah. Whip out their shortcomings. You thought I was going to say something else, didn't you? Now, they whip out their shortcomings and show you how desperate they are and show you how deep state affiliated they are. Those are the ones, folks, once they reveal, it's the big reveal. Now you know who's working against the American people, and you can eliminate them at the polls next time. So locally, what you do is you go out and you start campaigning. You find somebody that's got a pair of cojones that can go out and campaign against these people. You go dig up their voting record. You see whether they're a warmonger, a rhino, whether they like embellishments, whether they've sucked up a bunch of money like Monica in Bill's closet. You check them out. You deep dive on them. Hey, I'd hire a private investigator and go dog them for a while. See if they have a little action on the side, a little side hustle. Maybe they got a little kid in their office, a little side hustle with a hooker, little booze, little blow, that's congressmen. They can get away with that. Then they sit up there and, nitpick on Tulsi and everybody else. The whole thing is a shift show, folks. Don't take it personally. Whatever they do, ask yourself a question. Does it really affect you? Does it affect you, John Q. Public? Does it affect you, the consumer? Are you worried about your house being foreclosed on? Are you not able to make your bills every month? You got more month at the end of the money. Is this what you're afraid of? These are things, and the media is not helping. Just like USAID. As soon as Trump does it, see, the media, they're up here at the top on this teeter-totter. They're up here while the extreme right is holding them up in the air so they can't get off the teeter-totter, and they're exposing them all. Joy Reid. Yeah. Jen Psaki. Yeah. Sorry about that, Peppermint Patty, but we don't like you, and everybody knows it. Look at your ratings. Why don't you just go away? You got all this NAIAD going on, 3,566,760 through USAID, to Echo Health Alliance. Then we got another 3 million $86,735 to Echo Health Alliance. Another $38 million to Echo Health Alliance. Subcontract from UC Davis, International Field and Lab Locations. Amazing how that works. They give all that money away so we can look up bioweapons to be used on the American people. And all you people sit back and sit there and call us a bunch of nutballs and think we're all conspiracy theorists because the federal government is laundering money to these agencies, to these allegedly legitimate companies. Now, you see why I have a problem with the United States government? How many honest politicians can you count that are serving in Congress right now? Maybe that many? 5. For those of you listening on audio, I'm holding up one hand, waving my fingers. Hi. Yeah. How many decent people are there in Congress these days? And then you got Democratic senators coming out of the woodwork. Yep, that Brian Schatz and Bill Cassidy from Louisiana. Oh, yeah, we're going to hold up the process, and he's a Republican. See, you can tell who the rhinos are. But you see, when you look at what all these people are like blasting Tulsi and saying she's a Putin magnet, Putin is claiming that Trump is going to restore order and that the elites are going to stand at the master's feet and maybe they'll lick his genitals. I don't know what they're going to do. Oh, gently wag their tail. Sorry, I misread that line. Or maybe it is the other way around. Depends on if you're Scott. Yeah, who knows? What goes on there, huh? I'm telling you, it's the political corrupt, and these guys get away with everything. It's time we gave Washington a little enema. What do you think, huh? Yeah, Putin says nothing has changed. They were happy to carry out any order from Washington under Biden. They just don't like Trump. They forgot him actively. They really interfered in political life in the election process, and then they were confused when Trump suddenly won. Why is that? Because the people in America spoke out. And the people in America, if you want to keep that teeter-totter tipping this way, you need to be paying attention to election integrity. You need to be paying attention to becoming poll watchers, precinct committee people. You need to stay on these people constantly to make sure they don't start pulling fast ones, because we got 2 years when they can start to tilt the teeter-totter back and put a Democrat-controlled House of Representatives and Senate back in power. And then Trump will have lame duck the rest of the time. And if I was him, I would veto every single bill they put across my desk, including keeping the government operational. You guys want to mess with me? I'll veto every single spending bill you put on my desk. How about that? Wouldn't that be a good idea? Wouldn't you love to see the U.S. government shut down? Oh, no, you still get your Social Security payments. Stop freaking out, you people that depend on the government for things. You know, I got to ask, why did you volunteer in the Social Security system in the first place? I know, you didn't know. It was voluntary. You didn't know. Even Devi wrote a great article about that. And she even cited code, U.S. code. And she even quoted the Social Security Administration chief, who she queried way back when, says, oh, yeah, it's voluntary. Oh, no, it's mandatory. Oh, no, it's voluntary. They can't make up their mind. See, as long as they can keep Americans in a state of confusion and worried about their toil and their next meal, they're happy. That's what this all amounts to, your toil and your next meal. And everybody's worried about it. Everybody's worried about surviving. They want to know what benefits me, because everybody listens to WIIFM. What's in it for me? That is an acronym. That's not an adage. So WIIFM, what's in it for me? And that's what everybody wants to know. How can I benefit? You know, maybe if we all stopped and figured out a way that we could benefit the collective community. And I'm not talking about socialism. I'm not talking about feeding the 5,000. We're not sitting here breaking up loaves and fish and feeding 5,000 people and working miracles. Maybe we should be. Maybe we should be doing good things for other people and blessing others' lives. I mean, after all, isn't that why we're here? I think so. You know, should we be paying so much attention to Congress? Really? I don't sound like Mark Levin. Seriously. I don't want to go there because he's part of that teeter-totter that's down here. Understand that? there is no libertarian thought process. You got to start thinking Constitution. You got to start thinking 10th Amendment. And you have to start thinking states' rights and what you can do to contribute to your local community, wherever it is you are. If you can't afford, if you hate where you live, get out. Move. Put your house on the market. I don't care how long it takes. Start making plans. Start doing garage sales. Start scaling down. Start looking at target markets that you can move to and make a decent living, where you can make an impact, because these blue states, you wait till they start. I mean, they're daring Trump right now to send his ICE agents out and people from Homeland Security to arrest these blue state city mayors and governors. Imagine that. Wouldn't you like to see them locked up and sent to Gitmo? Wouldn't that be fun? Make them just disappear for a while. Give them bologna sandwiches for a year and see if you can change their mind. Little educational therapy. Michael Letts joins us after the break, one way or another, either on Skype or by phone, but we'll be talking to him about what's happening with the deportation mechanism right after these messages here on the Krieger Files. Tuesday edition. Stay with us. Stay with us. Dave Krieger here. Are you having issues with your credit? With interest rates as high as they are now, this would be a great time to invest in yourself by getting a copy of the Credit Restoration Primer. So when mortgage home interest rates finally do come down, you'll have already taken the necessary steps to get your credit score where it needs to be so you can move forward in life. Thousands of consumers have benefited from the Credit Restoration Primer, and you can too. Go to cloudedtitles.com today.
Many Americans are growing increasingly concerned about the rapidly growing U.S. government deficits, recognizing the additional printing of paper money devalues U.S. currency. To compensate, American gold and silver coins will provide wealth protection. U.S. Coin Capital provides physical gold and silver coins delivered directly to our clients. You can reach us at 1-800-878-2646, uscoincapital.com.
Need a document notarized even when one or more of the signers is out of state? What a faster way to close your real estate deals by getting your documents professionally notarized online at professionalnotaryonline.com. For more information and to book an appointment, visit professionalnotaryonline.com or call Aaron at 941-400-8282. A trusted Krieger Files partner. Good in all 50 states. That's 941-400-8282.
Taking back America, one consumer at a time. It's the Krieger Files.
Okay, we are back. 32 minutes after the hour. And of course, if you're looking at the screen and watching us live on the KriegerFiles.com, which you can, I don't know if you do this or not. It does take a bit to buffer, but you can actually see this handsome guy up in here. His name is not Karen. All right. I know it says Karen Letts on there, but that's his wife. And the two of them run investusa.org. Folks, if you have never heard of these folks, they're a nonprofit, and Michael, who's on screen with me right now, he's connected to Trump-Homan and the deportation effort going on in the United States of America nationwide. We've had several of these pricky governors and blue state city mayors that have all dared the Trump administration to come in and mess with Michael and his crew, because law enforcement, ICE agents, ICE, baby, they're all out there working it, rounding up immigrants that aren't supposed to be here, including the criminal element, Trinidad, which Colombia now says they'll take back, or Venezuela. They'll now take back. You know, like I said, we always had the option to just push them out of the plane over the presidential palace, and that would send them a big message. I mean, who needs them around anyway if they're going to commit crime, right? Now, we have a big fentanyl problem, and now Canada's got a fentanyl czar. Isn't that amazing, Michael? What do you think of that?
Imagine what a little bit of pressure will do. Isn't it, though, Dave?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, welcome back to the show, by the way. I know you were just on recently, but hey, this thing is unfolding and people are complaining. Hey, how come it's costing $4,300 and some dollars for each one of these immigrants we ship back in a C-130? Do we need to be? I told people when this started, when it was going to start previously, you may have heard this comment, that it was going to cost the taxpayers money to ship these people all back where they came from. Now, the funny thing is, they had to have money to get into the country. Then they were giving a $9,000 debit card. And a lot of that money went back to the cartels. And I'm just wondering whether or not I mean, we're obviously not going to get a dime out of these people, even though we're taking them and dropping them back. I mean, it was a fun party while it lasted. But what is going on? I mean, you've got the status update of what ICE is doing right now. You've been in touch with Trump-Homan. So what say you as far as the campaign so far?
Well, the campaign is right on cue. We are getting roughly 12 to 1,300 a day, and we're going to get up to 5,000 a day deported. And quite frankly, here's where we started off so that people understand the strategy. We had said all along, Dave, that we were going to go after the child molesters first and the cartels. And sure enough, we did that. Now, you remember, let's back up a couple of weeks when we still had the Biden administration. We had over 700,000, children that were missing. And the Biden administration said they had absolutely no idea where they were at. Well, once we hit the ground running, I'm pleased to report we've recovered almost 150,000 of those kids, saved them out of their torturers' grips. And quite frankly, the great part about this is as we have moved in and capitalized on where these children are at, we've been able to pick up a lot of the key leaders for not just the child molestation rings, but for Tierra de Aguera, MS-13, and cartel members. And so, quite frankly, they are fit to be tied because they're losing the battle and losing it quickly. So here's what they're doing. And you just probably have heard this in the last day. Don't know for a fact, but you've issued an advisory against traveling to Mexico. And the reason why is the cartels have decided they're going to retaliate. They're planting IED bombs along tourist routes to try to kill any Americans that are in Mexico. And plus the fact they have authorized, we have seen the memo, they have told all their lieutenants, this is the cartels, to use their armed drones to fly across the border and attack either military or border patrol personnel, inhibiting them from coming across. So if they picked a fight, they're going to find out real quick they picked the wrong one, Dave. And here is, of course, you have the president of Mexico, Claudia, in the middle of it. The reason why I say she's in the middle of it is, quite frankly, the cartels run the country. They run the government. They run the military. She's just kind of a pawn, shall we say, but she's trying to negotiate between the two. And here's where we're at. He's offered 10,000 soldiers, Mexican soldiers, to help patrol and to keep fentanyl out and to keep the immigration levels down. We know, though, Dave, that's not going to work because the cartels are not scared of those soldiers. They control them. So while we are giving a reprieve for 30 days on the tariffs, we are moving forward with covert operations. We have one objective in mind, Dave, and that is we're going to eliminate, not just cripple. We're going to eliminate the cartels and their threat to American society, as well as anywhere else they're at. So they're in deep trouble. They know it. They're going to try to do everything they can to fight back, but buckle up because I promise you our special forces are the best in the world, and we mean business.
Well, and understand, too, now how much has Kristi Noem been out on the campaign trail, so to speak?
He's been out there days, supervising as well. And quite frankly, we've guaranteed her that we're going to make sure that we're getting the cartels, getting the child sex traffickers, getting the villains. But also, this is one of the things you hear the complaints about. We're not going to be curtailed, David, by them saying, well, you can't use certain tactics to get illegal immigrants. Here's where the big complaint is. If we know that there is an area where it's known drug members, gang members, etc., we're going to cordon that area off. We're going to cross checkpoints, etc. So if you happen to be driving by that checkpoint and you're an illegal, even though you're not a criminal, you still broke the law. We're not just going to say, well, you're not the one we're looking for. Go ahead and have a good day. We're going to go ahead and take you on in at the same time. And of course, that's what's causing this rift. Media, mainstream media, tears, liberal tears crying, saying, you're moving poor Granny, you're taking her back across the river. No, we're not targeting them. But at the same time, they broke the law. And if they get caught in the net, they're just part of the collateral damage is going to happen because we're going to get every one of them. Because you remember, we can't vet them. We have to know who they are before we're allowed to stay here.
And it's a sad state of affairs because Mayorkas Dorcas and the Biden administration just pretty much let them run amok. And of course, since they shut that CBP app down, that's a given. You obviously have been in contact with people that were at the border just recently looking at this entire scenario. Traffic coming into the country now has been severely curtailed. Is that right?
It's almost to zero. I mean, it is severely curtailed. Right now, they're running scared. But let me tell you where we've got to deal with some issues. I'm glad we're on the show to make the American public aware. You saw what happened last night in California. The illegal immigrants in California, Southern California, decided to take to the streets, shut down roads, create havoc. LAPD responded as they should have, were prepared to engage, and then the mayor ordered them to stand down and to withdraw. We can't have that. That's interference with federal operations. And so, quite frankly, she's putting herself in a position where she's fixing to get picked up because we have made it very clear. You violate Section 18 of the law, that's a federal felony. I don't care your title, don't care what your role is, you will be arrested. And that's where we're headed now. So she's back to Java.
Karen Bass, hey, do we have a cell for you in Gitmo? Do you like bologna sandwiches, Karen? Yeah. See, I'm just waiting for ICE and the agents from federal law enforcement, to pick up one of these blue state city mayors like Denver or New York. I don't know that Eric Adams would do that. Boston's mayor, Michelle Wu. Oh, come on. Let's throw some of these people. We'll have our own group called The View, and The View will be Gitmo. Because to me, if you're going to interfere with stuff like this and you're breaking the law, you're committing treason as an elected official. You're not abiding by the Constitution. Biden has broken so many laws. He's not being prosecuted, but he didn't pardon himself. And now he's trying to get a book deal. He's like William Morris Agency, man. He's trying to get somebody to put him out on the road on a speaking tour because, well, let's see. What are they going to do? He's going to have a fight with a teleprompter, probably. He'll get up there, forget where he's at, just, whoop, whoop, it's gone. We'll see how long that career lasts. But the problem is the damage he has done. We're starting with all the evildoers first. We're starting with all the rapists, the child molesters, the sex traffickers, the drug dealers. We're getting rid of the gangs. That's just scratching the tip of the iceberg. I mean, even if we got rid of, 10 or 20,000 people in the next 90 days, the bigger problem is the balance of the population that's snuck in here that may be hiding in plain sight. What's the plan? I mean, this is going to cost us an arm and a leg and a left testicle trying to get them out of the country. What's the plan?
Unfortunately so, but we have to look at the long term. Look at what it was costing us to have them here. Besides the emotional pain of the murders and the crimes they're committing, just the burden on the taxpayers. Because, we had such a crazy administration before that was paying them to come in, paying their transportation costs, their meal costs, etc. This will save America a lot of money down the road. I realize it's costing us something now, but, it's worth the cost to defend our borders. And quite frankly, I want to throw something else out that the public is not aware of. Because of these raids that we've done on these child sex trafficking, we have actually gone out of country and picked up a number of ringleaders in foreign countries, and we're bringing them back. We're sending a clear message that we're not just going to destroy it in the United States. We're going to destroy it everywhere. Anywhere we find it, you're fair game, and we're coming for you. And so, quite frankly, a couple things that are frustrating the liberals right now. As you remember, right before Biden left, he granted additional stay for 340,000 Venezuelans, and Kristi Noem just reversed that. They're fair game. We're going to get them and get rid of them. And quite frankly, everything that they have been doing, we're undoing to make sure we provide safety for the American people. And it's got them fit to be tied. But it's a battle worth fighting. And quite frankly, I think the American public are excited about what we're doing.
Well, about the 30,000 beds in Gitmo we've been reading about, does President Trump and Trump-Homan seriously think that they're going to fill 30,000 beds? I mean, we end up having to pay for that as American taxpayers. I mean, is that really logistically feasible? Or are we going to use those 30,000 beds for the left-wing libtards out there that want to break the Constitution and commit treason? Is that where the 30,000 beds are for? One nice big re-education camp.
Yeah, that's where the 30,000 beds are for. But I will tell you this, Dave, here's something that the public needs to be aware of, is when we're talking about using some for the illegal immigrants, we're talking about only moving those that we think are so evil and that the governments that we send them back to can't contain them, that they'll break out and try to come back in again. So what we will do is we'll send them to Gitmo. Now, remember, we're doing military tribunals there. So that means when they get there, they not better not buckle up for a long winter's nap, because it won't be long before their neck gets snapped on a hanging. on the gallows, because we're not planning on keeping them. We'll try them and execute them as necessary.
No, I'd love to hear that. I mean, this is what America wanted. They voted President Trump in office because they saw this happening. Their kids were being raped. Their women were being assaulted sexually. I mean, it just, it's turned into a nightmare overnight. And I don't know what it is about the people in the blue state cities that just can't come to grips with why their mayors are doing what they're doing. And Houston and San Antonio, for example, have already come out and said, we're not going to help any of the ICE agents. We're going to stand in their way. And it's just like, I'm just waiting for one of these mayors to make front page headlines when they bust them as part of the process. Do you see it happening?
You won't be waiting long, Dave. It's coming very quickly, because quite frankly, we will not be hindered. We will not be curtailed. This is a matter of national security. The American people have suffered for far too long. And they, just what you said, the American people voted overwhelmingly to put an end to it. And that's what Trump does. When he issues a mandate, he doesn't pussyfoot around. We go on ahead and get the job done, and that's what we're doing.
What about all these Congress people out there that are protesting every little thing, like denying aid to USAID? I really think that a lot of these people are on the take, and that it's coming back and they're getting kickbacks in Congress. How long is it going to be before Elon Musk and everybody else starts to unearth all of this garbage, and they start seeing that our congressmen are on the take, and it's all because of the illegal immigrants? I mean, New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy said he lives with an illegal immigrant. Oh, good luck coming to get her. And it's like, okay, did he just draw a line in the sand?
He just drew a line in the sand, but he doesn't understand the line has already been drawn by the American people, and we will not tolerate it being crossed. And quite frankly, what you were saying, on the third, what you're going to find is a lot of those are just what you talked about, people that have been treasonous to this country and abused their positions and robbed the American people and created, weaponized the political and the law enforcement system federally, and they're going to pay a price for it.
Well, we hope so. I know Kash Patel right now and Tulsi Gabbard are fighting, and a lot of people are starting to expose Tulsi's bad side, and I just don't know if she'll make it out. Now, RFK Jr., his vote just went to the full House, or full Senate, rather, to vote him in. He got out of the committee, thank God for small favors, because they were threatening him in committee to not let it go to the Senate floor. But now that's done, and so now we're looking at this, at the pendulum swinging. Like I was saying earlier, we have this teeter-totter, and the alt-right is down here, the extreme right is down here trying to stop what the extreme left at the top of the ladder that's pinned up there and is panicking because they're getting exposed. The more they're left dangling in the wind, we're going to start finding out as they start to push back who these people are that do not respect the Constitution of the United States and certainly don't back the blue.
Well, you're going to find out a lot of the people that are going to be voting against Kash, they only have one reason for voting against it, because they're scared to death their names on the Epstein list or other lists, and they don't want it released. Kash is planning on making sure that if you're held accountable, basically. If your name's on a list, it's there for a reason, and the American public needs to know it.
Yeah, they do. I think everybody would love to know it, even if, your worst, your best friend in Congress or on Wall Street all of a sudden gets exposed. The problem we have now is that you've got a deep state Treasury Secretary. He owns a hedge fund. I brought all that up. Why is Trump getting into bed with these people? I don't understand, because it's a billionaire's haven. I mean, you got Musk, you got Besant. I mean, how many other billionaires do you have out there working? And the thing is some of these people, like Besant, is a Soros-funded Treasury Secretary. That kind of scares me a little, doesn't it, you?
It does, but I will tell you this. What's interesting is I think that you're finding those that were on the other side in the past have suddenly decided to do what they can to try to make amends and to try to help bring about an end to some of this, because they know it's coming with or without them, and so they want to try to be on the good side, which is why you're seeing some of them starting to cooperate now.
Now, I'm looking in the background there, and I see a flag inside of a triangle, and that only means one thing. That is a gold star flag,
correct,
so to speak. And I want to talk about Invest USA. I want to spend the final minutes of this segment talking about this organization that you're the CEO and president of. InvestUSA.org has a meaningful purpose out there. And Michael, for those of you who have not seen you and heard you on this show, would you explain why you started the program and what it does?
Well, we started in 1993. That's 32 years ago. And quite frankly, at that time, 52% of cops had no protection at all. We got that down to 19%, but the only thing available was a concealable vest, the one you see underneath their shirts, which worked fine at the time because criminals were ashamed to be criminals, and so they didn't advertise it. They took a handgun and put it in their pant pocket before they went for a robbery. The last decade or so, with the cartels and all coming in, they're excited about who they are. They want to advertise it. They bring in AK-47s and others, cut right through a concealable vest. So we had to create new technology called active shooter vests that have titanium plates in it. Will stop anything. But unfortunately, Dave, 90% of cops do not have this new technology. And here we are, as we speak today, asking our brave men and women to go out on the front lines to round up these cartels, these sex traffickers and villains, etc. And they're better equipped than our guys are, guys and gals. And quite frankly, that's a crying shame. The least we can do is to make sure they have a fighting chance to provide our protection and our safety. That's why INVEST is so important. At this stage, it's critical because it's a matter of life and death for these brave men and women. So if they're able to do so, go to our website. That's invest, INVESTUSA.org. It's a charity.org. Provide some support to make sure that these men and women know how much we appreciate and we support them coming home to their families. I'll tell you one other quick thing, Dave. It's amazing the difference in morale and what 2 weeks can make with a new administration. The cops are excited. They're jacked up. They believe that they can finally start doing their job, and you're going to start seeing a safer America once again.
So the active shooter vest cost about $700 or so, give or take a few and some change. Has there been any grant money given to you by the U.S. government to help this process along?
There has not been.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. Just to show you real quickly, take 2 seconds to how the government works. In 1998, I was with Bill Clinton at in the White House. They passed the Bulletproof Vest Partnership Act to provide match money for agencies that needed support, needed help. That program has been so abused, Dave. It's not helping cops at all. It's being used for other things, and just goes to show you the government screws up everything they touch.
Well, I tell you, if it's any consolation to our viewers and listeners out there of the Krieger files, I just got word in that the first plane loads of illegal immigrants detained during this crackdown have departed for Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, where a small migrant detention center is going to be expanded. 2 planes departed this week, one from Fort Bliss, Texas, but it only had about a dozen people on board. This, according to the Wall Street Journal. They've been, traditionally been used to house terrorists, about 120 beds, but now, we're talking about 30,000. So 2 flights have been sent over there. We don't have the exact number, but the flights are on their way to Gitmo, and that's just breaking news right now during the show. Your reaction to that, Michael?
Well, we knew that was coming. I had been notified ahead of time that they were in the process of getting that done. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. That's just the beginning. What we're going to do is we want to make sure that we sort through every illegal immigrant that we apprehend. Those that are exceptionally dangerous. As I said, we have a concern that the governments that we send them back to may not be able to hold them and detain them. We're not planning on keeping them for life. We're not going to be paying for their upkeep forever. They're going to be tried by a military tribunal for the crimes they committed. Quite frankly, most of those crimes are the death penalty. So we're going to help expedite that to make sure we rid the society, the United States, of a threat, and society as a whole of these kind of nefarious type people.
Has there been any discussion? And I mean, you're on the inside track of this thing. Monday's deportation flight cost about $4,675 per immigrant or migrant. Can we do something to lower that cost? Have you heard?
Well, we're in discussions right now. Some of the governments are willing to send their own transports to pick them up and take them back. We just want to make sure that when that happens, that we have control to make sure they leave American airspace and that they don't have any way of coming back in to harass or to harm the American people. So we're having to be careful how we do that. One sense, it saves the taxpayers. In another sense, Dave, I'd rather have control over making sure that these people are where they're supposed to be and they're never going to be a threat to Americans again.
Well, see, the one thing that I look at is, when you talk about the expense of sending these people back, That's more than 5 times the $853 cost of a one-way first-class ticket on American Airlines from El Paso, Texas, to any place in South America. And when you look at stuff like this versus the $4,675, and ICE actually has their own aircrafts, these people, what's really strange is these people came in on commercial flights. The Biden administration flew them in commercially, and these people are so well-mannered. I mean, you can't put them back on a commercial flight because they're going to be upset because they're being deported, and they're going to start stuff. I can't use the caca, but they're going to start that. And so we can't use commercial flights now because now the military, ICE, and law enforcement, the federal government's out rounding people up. And I'm wondering, in San Diego, was ICE down there when the mayor told her law enforcement to stand down?
They were there, and that's why we're looking at that situation as we speak. You're going to see some action on that very quickly, Dave, because we can't allow that. Here's the problem. You let one person get away with it, now you've got selective accountability or selective prosecution. We can't do that. I mean, everybody is held to the same standard. She violated, she got in the middle, interfered with the performance of federal law enforcement officers in deportation. She's going to be arrested. End of discussion.
Well, let's hope it happens, because we need to make an example out of somebody, in a blue state city mayor. I mean, come on, that seems to be a given. But the thing is that all these illegals that want to get out there and protest, there's a target on your back already. And if you get out there and you hold up traffic and you set up protest lines, ICE is going to be there because they know you're going to be protesting and you're going to get rounded up. So maybe, I thought the whole idea about hiding in these blue state cities is that you can blend in and find ways of hiding. But no, don't worry. With the technology that's out there right now, they will find you. So, wherever you happen to be, it's going to be a real serious problem. Now, as far as investusa.org goes, where can people make donations?
Actually, they go right onto our website. And, there's a link there they can donate. Plus, they can stay informed. I tell people to do this, especially during these times in the days ahead. Make sure you tell our ICE, law enforcement, firefighters, first responders, thank you for your willingness to serve, because they're going to be up against the ropes for a little while here. We're asking a lot out of them. I know they can perform. We have the backing of our special forces in the military as well. And we're going to get the job done, but it'd be nice for them to know how much we appreciate it.
No doubt. And of course, now they're according to our news reports, and this is going on. They're really doing a crackdown on the drug dealers as well in America. How are they managing to identify this? Through DEA contacts?
DEA contacts. And what's interesting is there's a track. Here's where I'll give a little tip. You're going to get a kick out of it, Dave. You're wondering, how are we tracking all these people? You remember that Uncle Joe said you could have a free phone you came across?
Yeah, I remember that. Tracking him with a phone.
Got all the information we needed, and quite frankly, we know what phones are being used and what high crime is, and we're zeroing in. We've got it down, and why can I tell you that now? We've already got all the information. Won't do you any good to throw your phone away now. We've already got everything we need.
There you have it, folks. Michael Letts from investusa.org. Thank you so much for being on the show with us today here in the Krieger Files. We will be posting this to YouTube and Rumble later on in the day so you can see it. Of course, at 1 p.m. Central Time, you can go to thekriegerfiles.org and listen to this broadcast for the next 24 hours. If you missed it, or any part of it, you want to share it with your friends, they can go to thekriegerfiles.org. Support the shop. We appreciate it. In the meantime, thank you, Michael, for all the work that you do. God bless you for all the work you do, and we'll check back with you from time to time. And in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
1-800-878-2646, uscoincapital.com.
Need a document notarized even when one or more of the signers is out of state? What a faster way to close your real estate deals by getting your documents professionally notarized online at professionalnotaryonline.com. For more information and to book an appointment, visit professionalnotaryonline.com or call Aaron at 941-400-8282. A trusted Krieger Files partner. Good in all 50 states. That's 941-400-8282. Dave Krieger here. Are you having issues with your credit? With interest rates as high as they are now, this would be a great time to invest in yourself by getting a copy of the Credit Restoration Primer. So when mortgage home interest rates finally do come down, you'll have already taken the necessary steps to get your credit score where it needs to be so you can move forward in life. Thousands of consumers have benefited from the Credit Restoration Primer, and you can too. Go to cloudedtitles.com today.
Broadcasting to the U.S. and around the world by way of clear digital audio, 22,500 miles above the planet. This is the Global Star Radio Network.